Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to the 9th Annual Sports in Africa Conference Symposium. I'm Andy Kreutzer. I'm the chair of the Department of Sports Administration. And I've had the good fortune of working mostly for Gerard for the past 9 years and the past 10 years on the presentation of these conferences. And I'm certainly pleased that we're able to continue this year. Particularly pleased that we're able to incorporate so much Ohio University presence in this and to allow students to talk about the global nature of education, the global nature of sport, and particularly the relationship between sport and development in all its areas. I've looked at today's agenda, and hopefully I'll be back before too long to join you for the rest of it. It's worth being here. The people that are speaking to you are certainly worth listening to. The messages are important and will be important to all of us, particularly those of us who plan to work in the global community of sport and in the global development community. So my apologies for being rushed. It's just the nature of the times, I'm afraid. But thank you for coming. Thank you for spending time and for what you do, both as students and as members of the Ohio University community. I look forward to getting a chance to talk to everybody before the day is out. And particularly I want to thank Carol for coming and being our keynote speaker. We're extraordinarily fortunate to have a person of her stature and presence here at Ohio University. Carol, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. I have to put on a quick second hat here. Dr. Kinde has asked me to say a few words. In the Department of Sports Administration, I'm also the chair of our international committee, and we've been making tremendous strides in reaching out across the world to integrate our curriculum and our activities with people from around the world in the world of sport. We have a relationship now at the University of Bayreuth in Germany, and very soon we'll have an official announcement of a relationship with the university in Thailand, Kasetsart University there as well. And so I'm very pleased to have this conference here as part of our department, as well as the fact that we've had several student presentations in this during the conference for the first time, which is nice to involve our students. And some of mine are here, and you'll be quizzed, so pay attention on what we have to do today. So welcome everyone to Athens, and I hope you have a nice time.
David,
right. Thank you, Dr. Kreutzer.
Yes, exactly. Now get out.
Okay.
Yes. All right.
No, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dave Ridpath. I'm an associate professor in the sports management program. I work under Dr. Kreutzer, so we have a great time. And I've worked with Gerard Akindis for the past 7 years, and I've been very impressed with what he's done with this conference over the years. And I'm very happy to help out. I have myself an hour, so if I have to sneak out, it's because I have class. I'm not taking, I'm teaching it. So I need to get there. But I'm very happy to introduce our very austere and accomplished panel before you of Ohio University students who have done some really, really neat things with regards to globalization of sports and our involvement really worldwide in many other avenues. And I've been a part of that myself, which I'll talk about here in a second. I'm going to go down from my left to your right, all the way down, just to introduce our presenters. Melissa Wells is a third year, raise your hand, so everybody knows, third year strategic communication student in the Scripps College of Journalism, School of Journalism, excuse me. She is from Morgantown, West Virginia, so she is a fellow Hilljack, I guess, right, as me. And she's also pursuing her marketing and sales certificate in the Shea Sales Center. And she is PR marketing director for the Shea Sales Center. And she will be actually working for, or interning for Facebook this summer in New York City. Melissa's going to talk to us about her trip with several Scripps College of Communications students. They went to the Summer Olympics in London last year, and she's going to talk about that trip and how that impacted her. Our next one is somebody who I just met, Ashley Roberts, and very interesting. She's going to talk about her trip to South Africa and her work with regards to HIV and the HIV and AIDS epidemic in South Africa, and how a grassroots soccer program, or several grassroots soccer programs, are what they are doing to combat the spread of HIV and AIDS and also help out with education. So it should be very interesting hearing that presentation. The next three, I had the pleasure of going with them, or quote-unquote leading the summer global consulting program through the College of Business. 10 Ohio University students and myself went to Bayreuth, Germany, and worked with the University of Bayreuth and German students there to work on several different consulting projects for Adidas, or as they say in Germany, Adidas, primarily to expand and enhance and accentuate the penetration of Adidas into the North American market with regards to women's tennis apparel. So these three young men, first is Blake, Mr. Blake Presar. He's a sport management major from California. He's been in Sports Business Association for 2 years, also on the men's soccer club. He's been on the men's soccer club for 3 years in the next few years, so good luck to him. Next to Blake is Ben Haager. He is a junior sport management major, also an international business certificate major. And I've spent a lot of time in Germany, but what was great about having Ben is that he has very good grasp of the German language. He's a very good student of German, so he's able to translate a lot of things for us. So he'll do very well in international business. And he also manages the student-run radio station ACRN, which I might have to listen to now sometime. Do you play good music on there? Okay. You got stuff that I would like, or? And then we have Chris Glynn. Chris is a dual degree student pursuing a major in sports management and also accounting. And he's done a lot of different internships with the Dayton Dragons, Wright State, and also I think most recently, right, was with Price Waterhouse, accounting internship. And he will likely be working somewhere in the business side of sports with accounting, valuation, those types of things. So I really enjoyed my time with them in Germany. Again, I was more of a facilitator. They did the work. They partnered with German students, worked very closely with executives at Adidas, and I think did a really, really great job coming up with some excellent ideas for Adidas to use in the future. So without further ado, we'll start with you three and have you guys go ahead and give your presentation. And after they're done, I'll prompt a few questions, and then we'll move on to Ashley and Melissa. Thank you.
All right, well, again, my name's Chris Glynn.
Ben Haager.
I'm Blake Presar.
And our presentation is Ohio University Goes to Germany.
So just a little agenda of what we're going to review today. First, we're going to start with the overview of the GCP program, kind of what we did, just the layout of it. Then we're going to talk a little about Bayreuth, Germany, where we were, kind of like how it was, how Germany was, how the culture was. And then the project in general, like what we did for Adidas. And then finally we're going to give you like an opinion of the international program, what we thought of it, what we liked about the program. So first we're going to start with an overview of the GCP. So it's basically consulting for a foreign organization. We got to go consult for Adidas, or Adidas as Dr. Ridpath said. We were paired with students from Bayreuth, Germany. There were 6 different groups, and then each one had Ohio University students and Bayreuth students. So we started with a 3-day workshop here at Ohio University. Kind of did a project for Rocky Boots to get us started, kind of get our feet wet. Then we went over to Germany, went to Adidas, kind of got the layout of what they expected of us, and then kind of went from there. Here are the sites for this year. I know there's a bunch of people going back to Bayreuth, Germany. I think it's something like 20 students this year. So it's kind of good to have it grow a little bit.
Alright, so looking at our project, we were in Bayreuth, Germany. As you can see on that last map, it's in the north part of Bavaria, which is the most southern state in Germany, and it's pretty much centrally located within Germany because Bavaria is so huge. Bayreuth is a pretty small town, about 70,000 people, and 10,000 of those go to the University of Bayreuth, which is the first university in Europe to offer the sport management major, just like Ohio University is the first sport management program in the United States or world. So that was our connection there, and Dr. Ridpath set us up with a colleague of his, Dr. Strobel, who got us connected with Adidas. So our life there pretty much revolved around our work with the university and Adidas, as well as we were lucky enough to be there during the Euro Cup, so it revolved a lot around soccer. In fact, the first day we were there, as you can see in this picture, that would be their equivalent of College Green. And they had set up a pretty much beach there with sand and all that, and they played the first day we were there. Germany played, so there was a huge public viewing with the university had beer carts right on the university, completely different culture, pretty much a shock for us first getting there, to have the university kind of support this sort of event and really just get behind the whole soccer movement. And we pretty much just took on from there, watching soccer. We did some cultural trips within Bayreuth, visiting the home of Richard Wagner, as well as the local brewery, just kind of taking a whole tour of the tiny little town. Pretty much learned the whole town within a couple days because it was just as compact as Athens. So really great place to do some work, but definitely a smaller town than we expected.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about our day at Adidas when we went out there. This is a picture of their actual world headquarters. It's actually a renovated military base. It's an old United States military installation. And so the Adidas group, it has, you know, the Adidas brand, Reebok, Rockport, and TaylorMade golf clubs all under that group. And so when we went out there, we were able to meet with Matthias Fischer, and he's the go-to market manager for their tennis sports. And essentially what we were able to do is we would tour the campus, see some of the facilities, see where, you know, they come up with their designs for shoes, their designs for apparel. And then we sat in on a meeting where they kind of gave us the project charge, talked a lot about, you know, their current state of their women's tennis brand, you know, some of the challenges, what they saw as, you know, opportunities moving forward. And, you know, they showed us, you know, apparel that they hadn't even released yet. And it was in this building, and it's just completely black on the outside, and you can't see in, and you weren't allowed to take pictures of it, you weren't allowed to take pictures in it, because it had all of the new product development for all their major sports. And through this presentation, we were able to, you know, get a lot of really insider information, and we got a lot more information than I ever thought we would get. You know, I kind of thought going over there, they were going to, you know, basically say, hey, market our brand in the United States. But, you know, they were really able to give us real problems they had, real information, real financials, what they saw as projections for the future. You know, how they thought they compared to Nike, Under Armour, and some of the other major competition. And from that, they came up with what their mission of our project was, and is they wanted an implementation of a global marketing concept in key markets in North America, successful activation of this concept in the market until 2015, and high awareness and economic success with their limited promotion budget. So as Blake mentioned earlier, there were 6 groups, and they kind of split it up into 2 areas. For the first area was they wanted new and innovative tennis products. So 2 groups were assigned to footwear, and 2 groups were assigned to apparel. I was on the apparel side, so what we really tried to focus on was, you know, where are the key areas in the United States that people play tennis? And we were able to go into some of the market research databases provided by the College of Business and find these key areas. And then from there it was, you know, what do these people like in their tennis apparel? You know, is it a certain color? Is it a certain fit? And we came up with, you know, recommendations based on that. Our second key area of focus was Adidas is really trying to push through, they call it their My Coach application. So similar to, you know, Nike has their application where when you're running, you know, they can keep track of all your stats. Well, Adidas has this for when you're actually playing tennis, and it can show you how you're moving on the court, and it's a sensor in their shoes. So we came up with ways to make that application more personal to the actual person using it, than rather this generic overall app that you and I can use. And then the third strategy was how they could better market the U.S. Open and, you know, activation strategies that went with that. And I think Ben and Blake can talk a little bit about what they did.
Yeah, I was actually Chris's competitor. I was in a different group, so I was the opposite apparel group. We had a much similar approach where we started by getting our demographic research for the United States, and we took it a little bit of a different direction with developing different brands, like sub-brands for Adidas, that would capitalize on some of the movements like environmentalism and the national movements surrounding around the Olympics and things of that nature, to try to gear apparel towards the youth in that sort of a way and get a lasting relationship with the youth for Adidas. And from that we were able to develop a couple lines that I can't share explicitly with you because we signed like an agreement to not because we did get a lot of privy information, as Chris said, but it was really a great experience to develop something from the ground up and figure out how to market that and create a good customer relationship with youth athletes for Adidas.
I was going to say, I think it's a great point because they were very serious about what they showed us. There were some things we couldn't see, but what we did see, we had to sign very specific non-disclosure agreements that we could not speak about them. It was probably a little more serious than I thought it was. I mean, I was like, yeah, we won't say anything, but then when they made us sign stuff and made it very clear.
Like Chris said, we did not expect to see nearly as much as what they showed us.
Yeah, they were
showed
generous.
us a whole year in advance of what's going to come out for Adidas.
As far as mine, I was a little different than them. I had to incorporate celebrities, kind of keep the hype bigger during the 4 major tennis tournaments. So what I did, again, demographics was definitely key to what we were looking for. We looked at 4 different areas of the North American market, kind of implemented 4 different strategies in between each one of the 4 different major tennis tournaments, and put 4 celebrities with that to kind of keep the hype big. Women's tennis wasn't necessarily doing so well in the North American market, so we wanted iconic figures for each demographic so that they can kind of spread the women's tennis of Adidas throughout North America.
And to speak a little bit on footwear, the people there, they weren't actually designing shoes. They didn't really expect that out of us, but what some of those people researched into were, maybe some of the emerging technologies in footwear, certain materials you could use, certain players, should they be wearing, a certain kind of shoe that matches sort of their personality, and sort of, how they could, better market their footwear towards, women in the United States.
So really, the true value of this trip was getting an international perspective on sport management, and we definitely came across some struggles with mostly adjusting to both the organizational culture of Adidas as well as the culture within the university, because it is a little different there, and they had classes at the same time, so expectations just of different types of research, different formats and things like that for our projects were these things that we had to pretty much learn on the go. We only had 2.5 weeks to complete this whole project, so we really just had to go with it and give and take for completely different culture there. And with Adidas, we did not expect that they were going to give us all this information and expect so much for us, so we really wanted to perform at as high of a level as possible, because at the end of it, it was pretty much like an internship for us with them, because we were direct consultants. So it was really just a great opportunity there, and just working with people, our peers, same age, but completely different perspective on approaching the American market, because we're within the market, so we don't see a lot of things that the German students did. So they really helped on a lot of the creative and perspective there. And then one thing that was great was just the personal growth and ability to travel after, just that individual development to be able to sustain ourselves in a culture where we had no clue what was going on. I was the only one that spoke German on the entire trip, so that was an advantage for me. But we had people getting lost on trains, people, like, it was pretty crazy. Everybody got lost at least once during the trip, because then we traveled to the Czech and none of us spoke Czech, so it was really a big challenge there.
Yeah, imagine how I felt. I'm supposed to be responsible for these. Okay, trivia question. Where are they getting their picture taken at?
The gazebo from the Sound of Music.
The gazebo from the Sound of Music, in Salzburg, Austria. I will tell you that this was my wife who made us go on that trip, and my daughter. But they were good sports and they had a good time with it. It was actually a lot of fun. I will say that, as I always told them, this first group of 10, this was my first GCP that I did for the College of Business, so a lot of it for me was kind of new, even though I was going to a very familiar place. My wife is German. I was stationed there for a number of years. Bayreuth is very close to where I was stationed. But I still didn't know how things were going to work really with the university and with the students. So we had to kind of test things out. And so I tell these three of things that we're doing a little bit different. We are now going to give the German students credit this summer. They're going to be a little bit more engaged. They also themselves know a little bit more about the project and the expectations we're bringing. They were very good, I thought, because they kind of got thrown into it. Yeah. And I think we made it work in spite of all the kind of the difficulties that we had.
That was a big challenge, was they had classes and they weren't getting credit for this, so motivation, I mean, they were motivated because they were working for Adidas for 2.5 weeks, but they also, a lot of them had finals during the same week as our presentation, so there's a big challenge with time management there.
But I think they certainly came forward. If I could ask you three before we move, I'll start out the questioning if possible. Are you guys finished with the? You have to go on? I didn't. Okay, there we go. Good. Oh, who's that handsome guy on the right there? Okay, I'm sorry. This is actually at the local. Most German cities have a brewery, and Bayreuth is famous for their wheat Hefeweizen beer. So this is at the Meisels Brewery. Very fun tour. I'm a very big history guy, and I actually like. One thing that I do is I collect German beer glasses, and they have, I think, what they said, one of the largest collections in the world. It was phenomenal.
Multiple rooms with glasses.
Yeah, that's one thing I collect, one of the strange things I do. But if you could tell me maybe what was, I'll couch this as maybe the best or worst thing that happened to you over there, best thing about the experience, or maybe what was the most surprising, I guess. Just.
Well, I would say something that's really surprising is when you were over there, you didn't see Nike, you didn't see Under Armour at all. That brand is non-existent over there. And I guess, when we're over here, that brand dominates. So it's really interesting because when working with some of these students, they didn't quite really understand why, Adidas, or as they call it, Adidas, wasn't big over here. And I'd say that was kind of a shock going over there to a culture where, Adidas is one of the main promoters of soccer over there, and just kind of the way that company's sort of structured itself to more of this European sports side, where Nike and Under Armour, they're trying college football, professional football, and just to see those sort of that different aspect of that industry was really interesting.
I'd say the best thing for me was definitely just gaining a whole new perspective and proving to myself that I could work in an international market. Because now that I'm back here, I feel like I could work in any organization because I adapted to a completely different culture while adapting to a completely different organization within 2.5 weeks. So if I worked with somewhere now, I feel like I could jump off right off the bat and adapt easily to any situation.
Yeah, kind of to build off what they both said, it was a very different culture. I remember having a conversation at lunch about college athletics and kind of explaining to one of my group members how big college football was here. You couldn't believe that, some of our biggest stadiums in the U.S. are just college football stadiums. I talked about Ohio State, brings in more revenue than some professional sports organizations, and they were just baffled by that. As far as, things I liked, I'm a big soccer fan, so, having the Euro Cup there was awesome. There's a viewing party every day. The whole country gets into it. I mean, from the previous slide, they had this whole area of sand, and they had a viewing party of thousands of people from the university. It was just an unbelievable atmosphere.
And they had soccer, beach soccer courts set up, and they had this school-wide tournament going on and stuff. So
yeah, I mean, people wearing their German jerseys every single day. During it's unbelievable experience.
It was fun. I do want to say they did have some, pretty rough living conditions because the youth hostel in Bayreuth is not that nice. So we were five guys in a room that was very, very small. I can remember my wife came up that one day. She said, "Oh my God, it smells up here." But they
We had
did.
small children living next to us.
Yeah, and then we also had maybe a Polish kids field trip stop by for a couple of days. It was interesting. But I think we had a really, really good experience, even for somebody like me that has spent a lot of time in Germany. I learned a lot of things new, and I just want to thank, certainly all 10 of them, but these three in particular, for really kind of setting the stage for what's going to be even a better project. It's going to get better and better in the future, and Adidas is very excited about working with us again. So at this point in time, we have any questions for our dazzling trio up here at all about their experience?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Was it hard not having any women on your team for women's apparel?
Yeah, we did a lot of I did some Facebook interviewing with friends. I played high school tennis, so I had a lot of friends that played women's tennis in high school too. So, but yeah, we didn't really have an outside perspective, except there were some German women on our team. So I had one on my team. I don't know.
yeah, I had one on mine, and I kind of lucked out because that was her sport that she just played her entire life. So you had that perspective, but the people we met with were all who were the ones marketing the women's tennis brand. They were all guys too. So I mean, a lot of it is you just had to kind of find this market research of where, you know, people thought it was going, and, you know, kind of the challenge for, I guess, you know, Adidas and tennis in North America is you have the Williams sisters, Nike has them, and they're the superstars of it, but there's no really other superstar that's American, and that was kind of, you know, one of the more sort of troubling things, was trying to find, you know, superstars that weren't signed by Nike.
And that was one thing that we really struggled with, because anybody who's my age, over 40, we'll say, right? Anybody who's over 40 will remember when American tennis, we were very dominant in the male and female market. That has not been the case recently, other than the Williams sisters. And I think we found the highest ranked American female was
30th or something.
Wasn't that Rory McIlroy's girlfriend, right?
19.
Oh, was she?
19.
It was 19th at some point.
So that makes it very difficult, and I can see why that a brand like Adidas was struggling. So you had to be very creative marketing wise. When you don't really have that Chris Evert or Billie Jean King or somebody that you can really latch onto.
Yeah, that was a big push for my project in particular, was finding someone who they could rely on for years of success in a partnership.
Well, excellent. Any other questions? Well, give them a hand. Nice job, guys. We will move on to Ashley. And Ashley's going to talk to us about South Africa.
Okay, well, hello. Like you said, my name is Ashley, and I'm a senior majoring in community health. And a little bit more background about me. My soccer career started in 3rd grade, and it ended in 3rd grade. So I went into this not a soccer star at all, but that was okay. You don't really have to be an athlete to use sport as a tool for education, so I found out. So first of all, we'll just have a little greeting in one of South Africa's, one of the many national languages. So since I'm addressing a group, I'll say Molweni, and you'll reply Mola. So, are you from, okay. So Molweni.
Mola.
Thank you. Okay. So now I'll pinpoint a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't think it works with Presar.
Oh, okay. Pinpoint more about where I was. If you can find Athens up there, and then you take about 30-some hours, and you end up on the eastern cape of South Africa in Port Elizabeth. And it's called the Friendly City and the Windy City, and I agree with both of them. And I would even say it beats Chicago as the Windy City title. If you see a bit more. Here I am high-fiving Nelson Mandela on the coast. It's not really Nelson, but so first of all, I'm just going to give a quick overview of what HIV looks like in South Africa. Okay, so according to the World Health Organization, South Africa has the most people living with HIV in the world. So that comes to about 17.3% of the population. And it goes without saying that that causes a lot of issues for the country. One issue would be AIDS orphans, which are children who have lost one or more of their parents to AIDS, or are even born with the virus themselves. So there's a lot of factors that go into this high prevalence rate, and I'll just touch on 2 of them. The first issue would be leadership and the misinformation that they have spread. And I'm not even talking about apartheid-era leadership. This is more recent leadership. Their previous president, Mbeki, he and the health minister at the time were AIDS dissenters. So that was the group of some scientists kind of who didn't believe that the virus caused the syndrome. So this led to many issues. They would recommend eating certain roots to prevent from getting AIDS, and also policy issues that didn't allow people to get the antiretroviral therapies that they needed. So I read one statistics that like hundreds of thousands of people died unnecessarily because of those policies that didn't let the medicine in. And even their current president, Jacob Zuma, this was before he was president, but he went on trial for raping an HIV-positive woman, and he was found not guilty, but he was quoted as saying that he showered afterwards to reduce his risk of getting the virus. And just, if anyone doesn't know, that does not prevent you from getting the virus. So people in leadership positions were spreading misinformation about HIV/AIDS. And a second reason for the high rate is stigma, and it's not something unique to South Africa. There's stigma about AIDS everywhere. So this is a barrier to getting tested, to knowing their status, which is huge in stopping the spread of HIV/AIDS. So the misinformation coupled with the embarrassment to talk about the issues really were the big reasons that the prevalence rate is so high. So where does grassroots soccer come into play? Just some background on it. It was founded in 2002 by Dr. Tommy Clark, and the first program was in Zimbabwe where he played professional football. And when I was making this, I started to wonder why it was called grassroots soccer and not grassroots football. And I didn't know if maybe it was the American sponsors, Bill and Melinda Gates and things like that, that wanted to keep the soccer name instead of football. I'm not sure about that though. And so today it's grown to 20 different countries, 70 employees, and 500 volunteers. And the 20 different countries, it's not necessarily the grassroots soccer program, but organizations such as the Peace Corps take their curriculum and implement it where they are, so that's why it's in so many different countries. So now I'll talk a little more in depth about the curriculum. So the overarching theme of grassroots soccer is using soccer as an analogy for life. So if you're making a soccer team, you're going to pick the best players that are going to let you win the game. Just like in life, you want to surround yourself with people who are going to enable you to get to your goals. You need to have goals in life, as in soccer, and the skills needed to reach those goals. So that's the overall theme of it. And then the theory that it's based on is social learning, which is based off of these 3 bullet points. And I can only speak for the Port Elizabeth grassroots soccer that I was at, but I really think that they did a great job in all 3 of these bullet points. The first one, kids learn best from people they respect. The coaches, who is what the health educators are called, most of them graduated from the schools that we taught in. They were in the same position as the students. So it was, the kids could look up to them, see that they were in the same position, and see where they are now. So it wasn't like me coming in and preaching abstinence to this totally different culture or anything like that. They're from the community and really provided good role models. And they were all super fun too, the coaches. It wasn't the teacher-student relationship. There was definitely discipline, but it was more laid back where easy conversations could occur.
Ashley, was there a structured kind of sex education component then within?
Not, well, besides the school, grassroots soccer, not in the school.
Okay.
So this was 8 sessions and then you graduate. So it covers life skills as well as HIV/AIDS.
Okay.
So the second bullet is learning is not a spectator sport, and also great job. There was classroom instruction, but it was interactive, groups of discussion and conversation, and you would also go outside and have different physical activities that combined education. So it wasn't like you guys are probably getting kind of bored listening to presentations, just sitting there. But so imagine being a kid being in class all day. So it really broke up the day and allowed them to participate in the education. The third one I can't speak as much to. It takes a village. But I'm glad that they noticed this, because you can teach whatever you want to kids in a school, but if they're going home and hearing the opposite, seeing the opposite, it's not going to make that big of an impact. So the hope is that with the graduation of grassroots soccer, older kids are going to be more open to talking about HIV/AIDS, and it's just hopefully going to produce more of a community of openness about the issue. But since I was there for such a short time, I can't really speak on that one too much. So now I have some pictures of some of the activities that we did. This is called Risk Field, and you have different teams and you dribble around the cones, which are risks for HIV. So it'd be alcohol and drug abuse, multiple partners, sugar daddies, things like that. So the goal is obviously to dribble around and get back so your team wins. But if you hit one of the risks, you have to start over, and your entire team has to do push-ups, which is just to show that your decisions not only affect you, but your friends, family, and the community. These are some more coaches, and this is a classroom activity. It's called Fact or Nonsense. You break into teams and a statement is read or a situation, and as a group you discuss what it is and you decide if it's fact or nonsense. So that's good at combating the misinformation that's out there about AIDS. This was one of my favorites. I only got to go to one of them. It's an all-girls after-school program. It's fairly new, and I think it was just great. Because although I think co-ed education is definitely necessary, there's no doubt that having a girls-only group allows for more open discussion, worries, things like that, and the girls were just awesome. So I was really bummed that I only got to go to one of these. This is just some more coaches. We all had to cram into this really tiny car to go everywhere. This is another risk game. It's the same thing as the risk field, but it's with limbo. I was going to bring it today and have you guys do it, but I decided not to. So as you get more risks, it's harder to succeed in the game. This is risk field again. And this, I just wanted to show that during these activities, it's not just going out there and exercising. There's a lot of conversation infused with it, which is really good. Interactive. I was worried because I was in the high schools mostly, and I remember being in high school and it's like pulling teeth to get people to answer questions and participate, things like that. But they were really engaged. It was really informal conversation, people answering. So I was really impressed by the way the coaches could handle the classroom. And so finally, my evaluation of the program, I was there for a couple weeks, so I don't have any quantitative data or anything like that, just my observation. But I would give it a kilo, which in grassroots soccer, instead of clapping for somebody who answers a question correctly, you say kilo. So
You don't blow a vuvuzela.
No. So that's what I give them. Being a community health major, one of the major issues is trying to find out ways to spread or give information in an interesting way that will actually stick with the audience. And I really think that this program did that. It was interactive, informal. The learners felt like they could participate and ask questions that they were nervous about beforehand. My only suggestion to the program would be, I think it's great that they have an all-girls program, but it would be interesting to have an all-boys program as well, because there's no doubt that gender violence is a major factor in spreading HIV. So instead of stopping or protecting yourself from the violence, it'd be better to just not have the violence in the first place. So that would be my only suggestion for the program, to have a boys-based program. And that's it.
Great. Actually, I have one question. Is there any data out there that shows that programs like this are having an impact?
It's actually, while we were there, we saw the data team working on it.
Okay.
They were using mobile devices that actually could track the graduates 3 years past graduation to see if there's blood work to see if they contracted the virus. All anonymous, things like that. But it's not out yet, but I'm really excited to see. Because just from observation, the kids knew more about HIV/AIDS than I did, so I could tell that they were learning something. But as far as behavior change, I'm not sure yet. But that data should be coming out.
Interesting. Other questions for Ashley?
Mm-hmm.
Do they know the plan moving forward if the data does prove to be positive or negative?
I'm not sure about that. I guess if it's positive, keep going with it. If it's negative, reevaluate.
Other questions, sir?
Very good presentation.
Thank
Very
you.
informative. I enjoyed it. Two things. Do you follow up? Have you been in contact? Do they social
Yeah,
media?
actually, I'm working on getting a box together now because one of the things they really wanted and didn't have was American mac and cheese, like blue box mac and cheese crap. So that's something that's going in, and I have pictures that I'm going to send back. And they have a Facebook page,
Oh,
things
really?
like that. Yeah.
Wonderful. Now, is there any community here that you think you could maybe get a partner that could work with them? Because sometimes you can find you're in community health, maybe a group that could.
You mean to bring the program to the States? Possibly, I'm not sure. It would have to, just because different cultures, you have to reevaluate language, things like that. But that would be interesting to use. And even in the Athens community, I don't know of any health education that uses sports as an analogy right now, except for like physical activity, things like that. So that, yeah, that's a good idea.
Sir?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
My name is Pascal. I come from East Africa,
Okay.
and I'm based at West Virginia as a visiting scholar. I am teaching a course related to exactly what you're doing.
Really? Do you want me to
Now-
co-facilitate or something?
Yeah, I just want to share with you. I just want to share with you. You'll pardon me for the accent.
Oh,
I'm not like Floyd. Floyd is typical American, so.
I can understand so far.
So, what is the biggest organization in United States in terms of administration? It's the county, correct?
Oh, say that.
Like
That's
here
the
we
name.
have, this is Athens
Athens
County,
County.
right?
Uh-huh.
Now below Athens County we have, and what's the next organization?
Would be city, I guess?
A city,
Yeah.
okay,
Oh,
the
okay.
city.
Sorry.
Now from the city we have neighborhood?
Neighborhood?
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you want to get in Africa, you want to get information about success or failure of your program, go to the smallest unit of organization.
Okay.
And down there it's called a sub-county,
Okay.
right? So once you get the sub-county, do not go to the participants directly, go to the, say, the parents, the caregivers, the local administration, they are called local council. They will give you the information, whether there's behavioral change by virtue of that program, or it has increased on the madness of the behavior. So I feel if you want to do good evaluation when you get back one time, simply move to the local administrative units. They will give you the information.
That's a good
Yeah.
suggestion.
Especially when you're dealing with technical skills. For instance, we have been having those teaching those young people mechanical and masonry work, how to build, how to fix a bicycle and so on. So you ask the parents, you ask the users down there, they say, oh, our community is now positive. They'll tell you. Or they'll tell you, these boys are hopeless. So either way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a good suggestion.
Thank you.
you.
Other questions or comments for Ashley? Ashley, again, thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to Melissa, let her get ready to talk to us about her trip to the Olympics. And since I do need, I'll probably need to step out here soon, I do want to recognize our panelists by giving them certificates real quick. So I want to recognize Blake. Thank you so much. Yes. And Ashley. And Melissa, we'll set yours right here.
Thank you so much.
And Ben. And Chris. So thank you. We'll try to get a picture afterwards if I don't have to leave Gerard, but you can take one of them for sure. So Melissa is going to tell us about the London Olympic Games. I'm excited. She even met LeBron James. She'll tell you about that too. Go ahead, Melissa.
Yes, again, I'm honored to be here today. Thanks so much for having me, you guys. It was really exciting to talk about such a great experience. Quick couple things before I start. I talk extremely fast. That's just how I am. I'm very all over the place. So if you can't understand me or you think I'm crazy, just wave your hand, flag me down, I will stop, I will repeat what I said. So bear with me. And
No, I'm just kidding.
no, I'm surprised, that's why I said that. And shout out to my West Virginia University people here, because I'm born and raised in Morgantown, West Virginia. Yes, sir, so it's great to have you guys here. Okay, so before I start, I just want to give you a little background about, I'm one of the 15 people that went on this trip from the UW Scripps School of Journalism, which is the program I'm pursuing. And they sent me some pictures and stuff, so some of their components are also mixed in here, but I'm kind of speaking on the behalf of the group. So here we go. Okay, I know this is kind of wordy. I really like a lot of pictures, so this is probably the most wordy slide that I have, but I wanted you to get kind of a look at London. What an amazing summer it was in London with the Olympics. Oh my gosh, just some really cool things. This year's Olympic Games motto was Inspire a Generation. And I thought that was really neat because that was kind of the theme. When we were there, everything was themed. Everything was based around the Olympics. It was just a great thing to be a part of. And I really thought it was inspiring and it was beautiful to be there. And just some numbers for you. 14,000 athletes representing 204 nations and territories and just stuff like that. So there was a lot going on, a lot of people, and a lot of tourists and stuff too. So let's just look at London. So also getting there, we arrived, my group and I arrived a week before the actual Olympic Games started. So that was, the 21st. Yeah, we got there on the 21st. So, 7-hour flight. That was actually my first time traveling. I had never been outside of the country before. So that was a very interesting experience. I didn't want to look out the window because you're just over the ocean the whole time. I thought, oh my God, I was just very nervous the whole time. I sat next to a wonderful Indian man who we had a great conversation. It's his first time traveling too, so we shared that in common. But when we got there, so we got time to get settled in. We actually stayed at the University of Surrey, which is outside of London, but it's a university that's kind of partnered with us and helped us out, gave us a discount, so we were able to stay there at a good rate. And we each had our own rooms, and we had a kitchen, and it was really nice. It was not what I expected. But so we got to travel and take some really cool educational trips while we were there in the UK. So we went to Stonehenge, which was really cool. I remember last year I did a project in one of my art classes, in my Tier 2 classes, about Stonehenge, and I can't believe I actually got to go. I would never have imagined. But it's really cool. They say there that people, you go there and get these kind of feelings, and people, there were people that are camped out just like for days trying to get these auras, and it's kind of like a superstitious thing too, so I was kind of into that. And over here on your left, that's some of my group members and I, and that was in the Roman baths in Bath in the UK, which was so cool. Oh my gosh, we got to actually drink some of the water and kind of experience that culture, and it was just beautiful. Everything I really noticed about the UK and London and everywhere there is that it's very traditional. The buildings, very pretty. There's a lot of detail and things that go into that. It's not really modern necessarily like a lot of our buildings are and the kind of the route we're going, but I thought that was really special and something different and unique about them. And this picture down here is another big picture of our group. A lot of girls, because girls like to take pictures. There's obviously some guys on our trips too. But Brighton was a little town kind of on the coast in the south, and we went everywhere on trains, so it took us 4 hours. You were anywhere you wanted to be, which was perfect. Really cool that we got a train pass with our, the Scripps School of Journalism gave us kind of some goodies, so they bought our train passes and stuff, which was nice. But that was just my favorite place. We got to eat fish and chips on the pier and that kind of thing, which was great. So we got to do a lot of traveling before the Olympics even started. So we kind of got to get a feel of what was going on and get an idea of the culture. I love that everybody spoke English, though. Even though it was a different kind of style, I was like, I don't have to learn any other languages, so that's good. Okay, so basically some educational stuff, academic stuff that we did. I'm kind of going to go into what we actually accomplished. It wasn't just a bunch of traveling, partying, and fun, even though it really was a great time. We took 2 classes. So one class we took was International Mass Media, and that was here in Athens in the spring before we actually left. So that was gearing us up, preparing us to go and report abroad. So that was really cool. I was taught by Professor Kalango, and he's international guru. He's been everywhere. He's taken a lot of students to a lot of different places. Originally from Africa, so he just kind of loves that inspirational travel, and he was such a great mentor to have during that time. So we took that class. We learned a lot about interacting with other people and other cultures, and also he gave us the lowdown on kind of what London was like and what to expect from people there. But also it was a huge touristy time, a lot of people from a lot of different countries too, so we got some background on that. And when we were in London, we did a sports reporting class, which was cool because we were right downtown. I kind of forget, everything is so mapped out and great there. If I had a map, I could point it out to you. But we rented out this building. It was kind of like classrooms, and we took our classes in there. We had a key to, so we could go there anytime and like work on some of our stuff. And we had alumni from OU that were there to report on the Olympics as well, and they actually came and got to talk to us. So Jay Cohen of the Associated Press and Cassandra Garrison of the Metro in New York City, they came and sat with us and talked to us about our experiences. And it was just great to see these alumni taking time out of their day, reporting on the Olympics, actually, for big organizations, and making sure they had time for us and time to give us guidance and help us out. So that was great. And right here's a picture of Jay Cohen. We Skyped with him a lot before we actually went. So he was getting us kind of geared up to go as well. He'd already been over there for a month, hanging out, just getting ready. So they had some really great advice, and they had some really great stories too about their times at OU, which is what we talked about a lot. And okay. So basically, our main thing that we did, our main goal that we were working on, we created a website, which was scriptslondon2012.com. And you can go to that anytime and check out all of our stuff, all of our stories. I'd love it if you guys did, because we were required to have 6 stories and 4 blogs, but a lot of people did way more than that, because there was just so much going on, so much to report on. I remember the first day we were there, we got off the plane, we went, put our stuff down, walked around on like the London Bridge and hung out down there, took some pictures, and there was a riot going on with the cabs. They were riding against the Olympic lane that they had made, because it's taking away some of their clientele. They couldn't pick up their customers, and they were having a hard time making money because of all the Olympic traffic and them taking away their lanes. So I actually got to do my first story on that. I got to interview one of the cabbie members, one of the protesters, and I got to hear his side of the story. And it was kind of, it wasn't necessarily sports related, but it was in a big way because of the Olympics. And you just saw really how the Olympics affected those local people. So the stories that we did just are a total range. We were all over the place, which was great. Our program director, Hans Meyer, he was just a really laid back guy. He said, I'm not babysitting. I'm not sitting here and watching over you. You guys go figure it out. Like, this is, you're adults. Like, we really felt like we were in a real world scenario reporting for a real organization, because we really didn't have anybody on our back saying, you have to do this, you have to do that. It was up to us, what we wanted to get out of the trip, which was really cool. And I kept a blog the whole time. I documented a lot of the stuff so my family and friends could follow back home, which was great. And some of the pictures here, Debbie Antonelli is over here on your left, which Dr. Ridpath really helped me out with. She is got her professional MSA here. And
she got her MSA.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, but she kind of had that little Bobcat background, and she was willing to, after Dr. Ridpath talked to her and said, hey, Melissa Wells, she'll be out there, she'd really like to talk to you. She is a broadcaster for ESPN, especially concentrating in women's basketball. So, and that's a sport I played, a sport I love. So she actually made time out of her day to meet me before one of the women's basketball games and just chat for a half hour, hung out. I did a story on her. Some background about her, and she was just great. She was awesome. She had I just could never imagine meeting someone like her. She was really down to earth, really fun, and it was really great to meet her. So I did a story on her, and on the other side here, what was really cool is that we worked alongside the United States Olympic Committee. So they gave us access into pretty much any USA practice that we wanted, an event that we wanted. So my favorites, personally, we covered wrestling, we did some stuff like that, but basketball was a big thing, and that's what everybody really wanted to go see, our basketball teams. So we actually got into the women's basketball practice here, and that's Diana Taurasi, if you're not familiar with her. Legendary, wonderful, amazing women's basketball player. Obviously, she's on the Olympic team. But I remember growing up watching her and just in awe. I mean, like to see her in person was just, I was trying so hard to be a journalist and be so professional, but deep down I was like, oh my God, I'm here with Diana Taurasi, like hanging out. But she was great. She was really cool. Really cool. She asked about when I was studying college and stuff, and so we made it more of like a personal thing, but still got did a story on her, and I got to just be at their practice. I mean, we were so close to these people, just sitting, hanging out, and we were competing with other organizations like ESPN, AP, and I just couldn't, I was next to these major producers, major people, so that was great. And in the middle, probably my favorite story was when I met LeBron James, and we did a story on him as well for our website. And he was, when you walk into the men's practice, all of those guys in there think they're getting massages, they're clobbered by about 20 people, and so was he. He was getting his foot rubbed whenever we were over there trying to talk to him. We were trying to get closer to him and just kind of get some pictures and stuff, because we didn't really necessarily think we were going to get to interview him. It's LeBron James. We thought, and my friend that I was with is actually from Cleveland, and she really didn't want to go over there. And I'm from West Virginia, like I said, so I really don't have this absolute hatred. I understand it. I remember being a senior in high school watching The Decision. I remember how annoying that was. I just really didn't care, but so she would kind of stay away. But we were wearing OU polos, this polo that I'm wearing. You can't see my hair's covering it up, but it has Ohio University on it. And he just kept staring at us, and I was like, he's not looking at us, is he? And she's like, I don't know, I guess. I mean, whenever we inched closer, and he ignored 3 other reporters that were there. One was from ESPN, who just to turn over and get inch closer to us and say, hey, Athens, right? And I was like, yeah, definitely. So he knew exactly where it was. He was talking about Akron, where he's from. And we had a 20-minute conversation. He was great. He was like, tell my Ohio fans I love them, like, whatever. So I know people have mixed feelings about that. I thought he was really great and really nice. He could have easily ignored us. He could have easily been like, whatever. And this picture, we wanted a picture with him for our website. We just thought that would be so cool. So we thought, why not ask? So I was like, hey, would you mind getting a picture with us for our website? He was like, yeah, sure, like no problem. And the first thing I told us when we go in the practices are don't touch anybody, don't, there's a bunch of rules, a bunch of liability stuff, and we were like, ooh, oh well. He put his arm around me. During this time, right before the picture was taken, security and people were running over towards us, like trying to separate us and kick us out, and they were like, no, like a bunch of security guards. And LeBron was like, hey, they're fine, they're from Ohio, get away. Like, I was like, oh my God, we almost got kicked out. It was okay. But then we took this picture, and I said, good luck to him tomorrow. The next day they were playing China, one of the games, and I was like, good luck. He's like, thank you, I really appreciate it. And he mentioned too that we had some Bobcats in Barcelona this past summer as well, and he had met a couple over there. So he was saying, like, you got Bobcats all over the place, you guys are crazy successful. So it was kind of cool. So that was a fun story for me. So, like I was mentioning the practices that we went to and everything, we also, Ohio University gave us a discount and helped us pay for 3 Olympic events that we got to go and actually just sit and enjoy. My events were, I went to men's gymnastics, which was so cool. After watching it on TV, and this background picture here is actually where we sat in box seats that were right at the corner here above the mat and stuff, which was really nice. And we went to I went to a women's basketball game, Australia versus someone, I'm not sure, I have the tickets, I saved them, but that was just really cool that we got guaranteed those events and we got to sit and hang out and watch them and actually enjoy them kind of like spectators, because we were doing a lot of work and we were running around a lot and being kind of crazy and making sure we were producing this website, we always were updating content, we actually also had our own radio show, not really radio show, but our own little commentary that some of our guys did, and then had guests on the show, and so we kind of had a lot going on and a lot of things to do, a lot of late nights too, but there was also a lot of fun and a lot of things we were allowed to do. And I just think the coolest thing was our connection with the United States Olympic Committee, because that really showed me, on an international scale, what it takes to put on the world's biggest sporting event. And I got to see how, I'm a strategic communication major, but all, business, marketing, PR, that all really overlaps in that kind of a sense. And you need to know a little bit about everything to make it work and to figure it out. And you got to be resourceful, and you have to be able to be good with people, and there's sales that's involved. There's so many things that come into play that these, the communications team at the USSC had to know. They had to be able to do. So that was just pretty incredible, I thought, and the experience that I got from watching them and shadowing them and getting that kind of access. So another cool thing we did, the BBC and the Guardian, those are some, I put some little facts down here for you just so you can reference those. But the BBC is the British Broadcasting Corporation, and that's the largest broadcaster in the world, and we actually got to go and tour it, and actually get to go in there and see what they do and how they produce all their information, and some pictures here, just us inside the studio there, and that was really cool. The guy here that's in the picture really we did not like each other. He really hated Americans. When we walked in, he said, how many of you guys are there? And I was like, oh, some people weren't there because they had to cover events. And I was like, I don't know, I think like 12. And he was like, oh, most powerful country in the world, you guys can't even count. So we didn't start off with the best foot, but we enjoyed it. We kind of, Chris here in the middle, he was so funny the whole time he was making fun of that guy. But still, we really respected the opportunity, and it was really fun. And The Guardian is probably my favorite. It's a British national daily newspaper. But it was really cool and innovative because everyone just wears like shorts and t-shirts to work, and the office was very colorful and bright and pretty. We weren't allowed to take pictures, or I would have a picture of it on here. But the way they really work a lot with the United States and other big countries to get their information and make sure that it's top tier. So I thought they had a really great organization. So that was educational and really fun too. And so my last favorite thing that we did was we toured the USA House, which was sweet because that place is just out of control. I mean, it was great. It was crazy. There's like free food all the time, constantly, anything you could ever want. They have a beautiful patio with a lot of people sponsor too. Like Coca-Cola sponsored their patio, so it's all themed with different products in different markets, and you have an unlimited supply of those whenever you want. If you're an Olympic athlete or your family or friends, if you want to have them there too. And I have Kristen Mann down here because she is a current Bobcat also, and she was one of the people that gave us our tour at the USA House. So it was just kind of a small world that we got her as our tour guide. She's the marketing and communications coordinator at the USOC, and she's pursuing her professional MSA at OU. So she kind of had that little Bobcat connection and kind of thought it was cool that we were able to tour with her, and she had some great information. But it was cool because there was some apparel. There's a shop there that you can only buy things at if you're a United States citizen. So I bought some cool stuff in there that you can only get in that store. So it was really fun. And back here, this picture is a wall of all the athletes, and they have signed, all the USA athletes, and they have signed an autograph by where their pictures are. So that was really cool to see and just kind of be in the place where all the major athletes were hanging out. So that was really fun. And that'll do it for me. So if you guys have any questions, covered a lot, I guess. I did a really good job.
Can I ask you just one quick question?
Sure.
It was an amazing presentation. I just think a student who has this experience just really gets their worth of tuition. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yes. Worth every penny, I can imagine.
So can you tell me, so what's the future with this? What are you going to build on this? Is this going to lead you into a job, a career? Are you going to?
It's honestly been a wonderful conversation tool with a lot of people. I just accepted an internship for this summer with Facebook in New York City. So that was something I thought was really unique. It wasn't necessarily, I guess, what made me qualified, because it's in the marketing department, but they thought this international experience that I have, and when working in the sales and marketing department, I'm going to be coming across a lot of people in a major city who are from different backgrounds and different areas, and they thought it was really great that I kind of understood that, and I catered to that a little bit, and I thought it was interesting. I'm not like, they liked that I wasn't, they thought it made you not more of a typical American who doesn't want to branch out or learn any new languages and stuff, but they thought it was awesome. That was one of the things I talked about in my interview was doing that. So it's been great because a lot of companies, that's something that sticks out on my resume, you know what I mean? So it's been a great conversation starter, if anything.
Have you read Lean In?
I have not, but I'm
Please,
getting it
before you go there.
ASAP. I know, that's my goal to read it before I go over there, but I looked at, in Times Magazine, there was an article about her, and oh my gosh, just amazing woman. What a crazy story she has, but I definitely have to read it.
She's on a mission, so you could be a part of that.
I would love to, that would be my dream come true. I would love it, I guess, thank you.